All right, now we're talking about our third type of scenario when we come to a system of equations. And the third type of scenario is when you have two lines, one line, and then a second line, a second straight line, that are on top of each other. Do you see that I drew, or try to draw, the second line to be exactly on top of the other line? Therefore, these two lines, since they're exactly on top of one another, are going to have the same slope, and they're going to have the same y-intercept. Wherever they happen to cross the y-axis, I don't know where they will cross the y-axis, but since they're on top of each other, whenever they do cross the y-intercept, they're going to do it at the same exact point. And they also have the same slope. Because these lines do not differ in any way, meaning they do not differ in a slope or y-intercept, we call these dependent lines. Dependent lines. Remember before we were talking about independent lines, lines that differ in some way, either slope or y-intercept or both. Here, dependent lines will be the exact same line, okay? All right, so we see that these are dependent lines. Now, these are also consistent lines. Consistent. This is a consistent system because, as we said before, consistent means they share at least one common solution point. So they're consistent because they do share, in fact, at least one. They're consistent because they have all of these points in common. In fact, even just one point in common would be enough to make it consistent. But it is consistent here because they do share at least one point. In fact, since they're dependent lines share an infinite number of common solutions. But even just one would have made it consistent. But in this case, because it's dependent, not is it consistent, which means they share at least one, it even goes more than that. It goes as far as saying that that they're going to be sharing an infinite number of solutions together. So all dependent lines, all dependent systems of equations are going to be also consistent. And those are the three scenarios.